In a peaceful village, surrounded by rolling hills and lush forests, there lived a cat named Pomy. Pomy wasn't like any other cat in the village. She had a special gift, a whispering voice that could carry through the winds, soft and melodic, almost like a secret only the world could understand. Pomy's whisper was known far and wide, and those who heard it felt an instant sense of calm, as if the world's worries were lifted for just a moment. Pomy's fur was as white as fresh snow, with a touch of lavender that shimmered in the sunlight. She had large, emerald-green eyes that sparkled with curiosity, and her tail curled like a soft cloud in the sky. But it wasn't just her beauty that made Pomy special. It was her magical whisper. She lived in a cozy little cottage on the edge of the forest, where the wind would often carry her voice to the animals and humans who wandered near. Pomy loved the quiet of the forest, and every day she would take long walks among the trees, letting her whisper drift on the breeze. She could whisper to the birds, and they would fly in beautiful formations. She could whisper to the flowers, and they would bloom in even brighter colors. Her whisper seemed to connect her to everything around her, as though the earth itself was listening to her every word. One warm afternoon, Pomy wandered deeper into the forest than she ever had before. As she strolled, the sunlight filtered through the leaves above, casting soft, dappled shadows on the ground. Pomy closed her eyes and let the wind carry her whisper. She whispered to the trees, to the squirrels, and even to the tiny flowers blooming at her feet. But today, there was something different. The wind carried an unfamiliar sound, a low, soft murmur that seemed to be calling her name. Intrigued, Pomy followed the sound, her feet light as a breeze. She came upon a small clearing, where she found a young fox sitting by the edge of a sparkling stream. The fox looked up, his golden eyes wide with wonder. "Did you hear that?" he asked softly. Pomy nodded. "I hear it. I've been listening to the whispers of the world for as long as I can remember." The fox tilted his head curiously. "But I think I heard something else, something deeper, something sad." Pomy's tail flicked gently. "What do you mean?" The fox stood up slowly, his fur bristling slightly. "The trees are worried. The stream is losing its sparkle. The forest feels quiet, like it's waiting for something. It's as if the whispers are getting weaker." Pomy's heart sank. She had spent her life listening to the whispers of nature, but she had never felt this kind of silence before. The world around her seemed to be holding its breath. Determined to help, Pomy closed her eyes and let her whisper flow. But this time, she didn't whisper to the trees or the flowers. Instead, she whispered to the wind itself, asking it to carry her voice to the farthest corners of the forest. For a moment, there was nothing. Only the soft rustling of leaves and the gentle gurgle of the stream. But then, slowly, the air seemed to change. The wind picked up, swirling around Pomy like a soft dance. The trees began to shake their leaves, the flowers opened their petals, and even the stream sparkled brighter than before. The fox, who had been watching in awe, felt the change too. "Pomy," he said, "it's working!" "The forest is waking up." Pomy smiled gently, her whisper carrying through the wind. "The forest has always been here, listening. Sometimes it just needs someone to remind it of its own strength." As Pomy's voice echoed through the forest, the creatures of the land began to gather. Birds flew overhead, chirping excitedly. Rabbits hopped out from their burrows, and deer grazed by the edge of the clearing. Every creature in the forest seemed to understand. Pomy's whisper wasn't just a voice, it was a reminder of the unity of nature, of how everything was connected. As the sun began to set, the forest was alive with sound again, the rustling of leaves, the babbling of the stream, the songs of the birds. The air was full of life, full of the whispers that had once faded, but now were stronger than ever. Pomy sat quietly by the stream, content. The whisper of the forest was back, and so was the joy that came with it. She looked up at the stars beginning to twinkle above, knowing that the world would always have its whispers, if only someone was willing to listen. The fox sat beside her, his golden eyes sparkling with gratitude. Thank you, Pomy. You reminded us all that even the softest voices can change the world. Pomy smiled, her eyes reflecting the starlight. It's not just my whisper, little one. It's the whisper of everyone and everything around us. We're all part of the same song. From that day forward, the animals of the forest often gathered in the clearing, waiting for Pomy's whisper to guide them. And though the world around them continued to change, they knew that as long as they listened to the whispers of nature, they would always find peace, strength, and unity.